Howdy, I am Josh Floyd of Fairfax County Public School District. Join and teach here at Tag Pros and help us educate American students. Sign up and apply now.
Hello, my name is Chris Manansala, and I'm the CEO of Tag Pros USA. Create your online classes at Tag Pros and get a chance to collaborate and get noticed by United States schools. We're currently running a Texas Visiting Teachers program, and who knows, you might get invited by school principals to visit and work in their schools. Check the link on your chat box for more details. Sign up, apply, and create your classes. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to your favorite live webinar series here in Tag Pros Children. I hope you're as excited as I am to see you all again. So again, I am Luis Pelea, a grade school teacher and EdTech coach from Xavier School. This webinar workshop is brought by Tag Pros Children in part marketplace where PIN takes the lead in learning and international cooperation of the next. I hope that you were able to get updates from our Facebook page. There are many exciting initiatives done by Tag Pros Education and partnerships with other countries. We will discuss all of these in a bit. So stay tuned. Okay, let's have an attendance check. I just want to see the list of participants. Where are we all coming from? Let's see, watching from where? Okay. All right, wow. Good morning, watching from Iloilo. Hello, Mr. JP Filbert. Thank you so much for joining us. Keep them coming. Who else is joining us today? All right. Hello there, Mr. Rupes De Leon from Jose Rizal University. Hi, Darwin. It's good to see you. Wow, from Lawag City, Miss De Leon. Welcome po. Thank you for joining us today. Good morning to you too. All right. Wow, all the way from Agusan del Sur. Miss Snow Tadulan. Good morning. Hi, ma'am. Good morning to everyone over there. From the Culion district, Edeline Marchani. All right. So thank you very much from Iloilo. Yes, thank you again for joining us here at Tag Pros Philippines. We still have at Valencia City, Bukidnon. Wonderful. Hi, Ma'am Cherry, Oriental Mindoro. All right. And just in case you already forgot, registering for the webinar workshop or just watching the webinar workshop does not make you eligible for an e-certificate. If you would like to receive an e-certificate for our webinar workshops, you have to answer the evaluation forms that we release after every session. After we open the form, you only have 1 week. 1 week to answer it before we close it on. Take note, everybody. Friday at 11:59 p.m. So if you miss this deadline, you will no longer be able to access and answer the evaluation form, even if you registered and joined the webinar session. Okay? So we do hope that you understand and remember this. Thank you very much. All right. Let's all get started. This live webinar is very timely. As we heard about the government announcement of returning all students and teachers to face-to-face learning. In fact, there are a number of schools that have already started hybrid learning. Yes, so this is very, very timely. Now, the most exciting part of today, let's meet our guest speaker. She's actually a returning guest speaker in our live webinars. So she may be very familiar to a lot of you, to our regular attendees and comers to Tag Pros live webinars. She is a certified life coach at KEYS School Manila, Philippines. Today, she will share her knowledge and expertise as she discusses ways to manage, guide, and support challenging learners of today as we transition from remote learning to progressive face to face learning. All right, let us all welcome Ms. Christine De Leon Alcala for the first part of her talk.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Luis, for the introduction, and good morning to all our participants who are from all over the country. So, welcome back to me and welcome back to all of you because I think this is the first time again that Tag Pros is sponsoring a webinar. So, I'm very excited actually to be with all of you today to converse with teachers again, or once again, as we will begin the new school year. Parang iniisip ko, are you all ready to actually begin the new school year? Hearing a lot of news about the school opening, no? So I can understand some of the anxious thoughts from the teachers, no? So I think it's a shared feeling. It's a shared feeling. So, and one major issue that we will be facing, once we get back to the physical setup again, is really the adjustment period of the students, and we will be experiencing different kinds of behavior from them. So, and for this particular session, we will be talking about managing misbehaviors or difficult behaviors from the students. But before we proceed to that, okay, I would like to check up on you. I can see a lot of participants na De Leon din yung surname. So I used to be a De Leon. I'm still a De Leon but with the Alcala already. Okay. Sige. I just wanna check up on everyone. So I want us to utilize the chat box, no? So as a coach, I do this all the time with the student, the teachers I handle also. So the first question that I wanted to answer is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how did your last week go? Real talk tayo ha. So how did your last week go? 10 being the highest, 1 the lowest. Okay, let me see how are our teachers doing. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how did you do last week? Let me see who will be the first one to type his or her answer. Hello, hi, from, I don't know kung mabagal lang talaga yung computer ko or what. Okay, so we are monitoring the chat box. Okay, let's see. How did you do last week? Did you start preparing for the school already? So, okay. Sailani said 10. Wow, almost perfect. Sabi De Leon said 8. Ian Yu said 7 over 10. Angelita, 10. Wow, gusto ko yon. Chris, 8. Rita, 9. Okay, matataas ha. Linz Neri, 7. Alma, 8. Angelita again, very, oh wow, 10, very energetic and lively, okay? Almera Mata, 7. Okay, I can see a lot of high numbers, so that's actually a good start, no? That's very good. Okay, let's see. Let's see. For those who did not answer a perfect number, okay. Jennifer said 10, very productive, no? 10 productive. Okay, let's see. Let's see the next question. Thank you for all your for participating. The next question is, what contributes to that number? What say you're 10? What made you say you're 9, 8, 7? Let's see. I want to see that. What contributed to that number that you mentioned? Especially for those who typed in 10. I really want to know what went well no during your last week. Okay, let's see that. Okay, a lot of people are still typing in their answer for the first question, but let's go to the second question already. What contributes to that number? What made it, what made it a high number for you? Let's go. Hello, Zimia, watching from Montalban, Rizal. Okay, I can still see. Okay, here, Jen. School year ends, but still working on SBM. I wonder what SBM is. Okay, thank you, Jen. Hello, everyone. Good morning from Mercy. Okay, sige. Can we answer the question already? 9, updating SBM best practices. Wait, what's an SBM? Sorry ha, sorry. Ian said, I have a lot of things going on in mind, ongoing, OJT, task working as freelancer, and also as the second child of my parents. You know the presence. Oh, okay. School-based management. Thank you. Thank you for giving me an idea what SBM is. Task accomplishment, degree contentment, level health condition. Okay, JP, I hope you have a good health condition. No? Um, no oh, Linda, 6, no vacation. Okay. A lot of teachers are actually appealing. No? Sana mapagbigyan so the teachers will still have enough time to really prepare and energize before the school year begins again. 9, because there were just few things that I did not accomplish which was supposed to be done but still productive. I like that, no? I like that a lot of you are saying that you're productive, but please, okay, do not forget that when we say or when we talk about productivity, you are including your breaks. Okay? Yung work is not true. No, not true for you to say that you're productive. Productivity includes your breaks. So make sure you take care of yourself. Coming from your life coach. Okay. Okay. Next. For those who did not, um, type in the perfect number 10, this is your next question. What could make it 1 point higher? Okay, for those who answered 6, 7, what could make it 1 point higher? What can you do to make it 9, 10, 10 just so inspired, happy to work, especially in preparation for face to face? Happy for you, Angelita, that you're happy that you will begin face to face already. Okay. Sige, let's answer this. What could make it 1 point higher, especially for those who answered or may nakita ba akong 5? Parang wala namang 5, but 6 is the lowest that I saw, no? Okay? What do or what do you think should happen for you to make it a step higher? Jason said sleep. Oh, that's why and then F said think positive. Okay, sige, go. But you see, as a life coach, I want that concretized. Maybe it would help you if you really list down things that will concretize those things. For example, you want to think positively. How do you plan to do that? How do you plan to start with that? Okay, take time to calm down, maybe. No, Klein can't. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, faster internet or fewer internet interruptions. Okay, still an issue, no, but maybe when we go face to face, it's not going to that issue will be lessened already. Ian, I think something that could make it a point higher is at least a day of, okay, breathe. It's been very hectic, so a quick break would do for peace of mind. I am hoping that, Ian, you'll have that. I'm hoping and praying that really, the teachers will be given enough time to really rest, find, unwind, unwind, good morning, unwind, perfect management of work, make it 1 point higher. Okay. Sige. As a life coach, maybe I will just ask you to really, concretize all these things that you're telling me right now by listing down, particular activities that you really want to do, to reach that goal. The goal is to make it a point, at least a point higher, no? Especially those who are saying, I need peace of mind, I need rest and all. We all need this. And later on, that will be mentioned actually, that the disposition of the teachers is very important to influence the disposition of the students. So, in relation to the concerns of misbehavior, okay? So, thank you very much. You are so active. Thank you, and let's keep it that way, okay? So, if you have comments and you have something to say, just type it in our chat box. Then we go to our first official first line, discipline with dignity. So I entitled it discipline with dignity, managing challenging behavior in class. But I want to have an idea what you consider a challenging behavior. Okay, again, let's make some noise in our chat box or our chat section. What do you consider a challenging behavior? Kasi baka hindi tayo pare-pareho. No? So, go, type it in as a teacher. Maybe you can also recall some challenging situation that you've experienced in the past and then share it with us. What do you consider a challenging behavior? For me, siguro as a life coach, challenging to really deal with students who actually experience mental health concerns but do not recognize the need to be helped. So that's very challenging, no? You want to help but then they do not recognize the need for help. So for you, what's a challenging behavior? Okay, sige, I'm passive learners. No? Oh, yes, especially during the online learning, no? We've experienced students, parang some students actually would describe themselves as parang feeling zombies online. And for a teacher na you've prepared so much for your lesson tapos you'll be facing students who do not even have reaction to what you're doing on screen. That's really that's even tiring, right? Tiring din siya. Dealing with difficult people in your workplace. Okay. That's from Angelita. Not only students but co-workers, I think, no, disruptive behavior, tantrums, sing. Okay. They're just there, but they are not listening. That is that's a common thing I've heard from, teachers during the past 2 years. Sabi said, inattentive and apathetic students, kahit tumambling ka na sa harap. Yes, you know what? I have observed classes of um, younger students. The teachers are so animated, talagang very animated on screen, and they're really trying to keep up that kind of position because the little ones need to see their teachers that way. But the real concern is, what if students do not respond to that? Diba? You're so tired already. Sabi nga I think it was Angelita who said, kahit tumambling ka na, di ba, parang wala pang reaction. So, yeah, these are challenging behavior, no? But let's just go through this slide, no? Challenging behavior, according to the authors of the book Discipline with Dignity, it can look like this, no? a classroom with power struggle, especially with the older students. No, they're a classroom with a power struggle, students that disrupt the learning process. Um, Let me see. Okay, and then students who loudly complain of the teacher's unfairness. Have you experienced that one? Students who show up to class unprepared. Okay, students who are quick to lose their temper and who simply refuse to take responsibility for their actions. And these are parang these can be commonly seen with older students. But let's see how it is with the younger students. Okay? With the younger students, we can say those students who are withdrawn, no? Parang they're not socially ready, no, to interact with their classmates or with the people around them. Those students who cry easily, those who are whiny, those are defiant, with aggressive behavior, those students who, hurt other students, also aggressive with their actions and um, their language. So I've seen that. No, someone said that those students who curse, no, unwilling to share, loner, difficulty showing affection, lacking of social skills, with high level of anxiety. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay. And then, of course, as a teacher, no, parang in your mind, in your mind, pag nasabi mo na yung somebody's got to do something with that child, parang there's a sense of frustration and helplessness already. And those are moments really that you can say, I'm giving up. I'm done with you. Diba? I'm done with you. No? So, I wonder how you really feel about having a student like this in class. Okay, this time again, real talk. I want you to pour out your emotion here. No, how do you feel about? Because the expectation is, of course, when you're a teacher sa sabihin, you should be able to handle that. Blah blah blah. Blah. That's why, parang you're the adult in the situation. You have to be able to, to manage and all. But how do you really feel when you have students who are, parang no response at all, or those traits that were mentioned in our previous slides? How do you really feel about that? Okay, let me see. Sometimes annoying. That is very, don't parang you really have to be honest with how you feel now, because there is something with, admitting feel about, because you cannot really move on from that frustration or those feelings of annoyance if you don't in the first place admit that you're really feeling that way, right? So poor connection, is this poor connection with the students or poor connection with the internet connection? Poor connection, as in no relationship with them at all, and that's very frustrating, no, as a teacher. Zara said it's hard. Xenia said it's disappointing, challenging, said Jimmy. And then Lay Riza said, I feel I'm not worthy to be a teacher sometimes. Yes, that it's true. That, that's very common. I hear that from the teachers. Because I also handle the teachers of KEYS School Manila. No, I hear that from them. They question themselves. No. Ian said it's a bit disappointing, but we have really to be patient and connect to them more. Yes, and that's the ideal thing to do. But how do we do that? Later we'll talk about that. Darwin said struggling, sometimes disappointed and sad for those students. Sad for those students, yeah. The feeling of being not an effective teacher to them. And that's di ba? That's, I don't know, as a teacher who's passionate about the job, and then you'll feel this parang, wow, parang, di ba, slap on your face, di ba? Parang ano pa yung kailangan mong gawin for them to feel your presence as a teacher, diba? Transform it into a parent. I'm interested how what that means, no? Okay, let's see. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So, Richard Kerwin, one of the authors of Discipline with Dignity, said these students believe themselves to be inferior, inadequate, and unworthy, yet they hide these feelings from themselves and others through destructive behaviors that made them feel in control. Okay, so all those traits that you have seen in our previous slide said that, you know, from those students who are not able to really express themselves very well, that's actually a manifestation of the feeling of inferiority and inadequacy and unworthiness, no? Just like you, they're also feeling that way. So for that someone who said poor connection, maybe you can start with that, no, empathizing with them that hey, maybe they also feel this way. What I'm feeling right now, I'm questioning myself. I'm questioning my worthiness as a teacher, no. They also feel that way. They also feel frustrated, and they also feel inadequate. It's just that you as an adult, you have better coping ways or better ways of manifesting the behavior in a proactive way, no. But with these students, sad to say, they're just learning, and some of them do not even know how to, no. So it's our role, your role is very important actually. Okay, so I invite you to look at this in a different perspective. Okay, let's look beyond the behavior. Instead of getting stuck with the feeling of frustration and the feeling of inadequacy, let's explore some factors that may contribute to that behavior that you see from students. And I think if you better understand that they're really coming from a place of, feeling lost also, it's going to be easy for you to understand that, okay, this student is really struggling. And so he or she needs help. Instead of, getting stuck with the feeling that this class is so disappointing. And this class is parang, I'm giving up on this class. No? So there are developmental concerns. Okay. We have the physical, we have the emotional, and the social um, concerns, no? And of course, the psychological concerns for these students. And we have to be aware of those things as a teacher. No, for me as a life coach, I've seen clients and students really had problems with and struggled with anxiety, who are still struggling with anxiety. No, okay. Wow, Jesselinda said, I feel so blessed to love these precious children of God. I like how I like how you said that. I remember talking to a teacher, no, when I was still teaching in the primary, in the nursery of Xavier School. This teacher was so and I'm giving up on these students. I don't know what to do with them anymore. And then parang that teacher actually used out of frustration, no, use the word use the word they're like animals. They're like animals. And then I told that teacher, maybe you can start looking at them as angels. And then that teacher said, angels, but how can you see them as angels? They're so rowdy and all. So but sometimes it helps, no, it helps to see them as gifts from God. And let's see how your perspective will change when you have that kind of mindset, no. So let's go back to this to this go back let's go back to this topic, no, anxiety. And I think this one is really is a concern, no, of most of the students during the especially during the pandemic. And I hope that as an adult in the situation or as their teacher, we're able to see this. We're able to see this instead of, because I know some teachers would just say, that kid is just acting up, that kid is just being difficult, no, not submitting all those and parang not submitting the school requirements and all. Yun lang yung nakikita natin. But there is a bigger problem behind all those behavior, right? So, um, uh, again, talking about the psychological factors, no, we can't deny the fact that that many, including us adults, no, are experiencing high level of anxiety. So, teachers, no, teachers are not excused, no, from feeling this way. So, and we feel this way for different reasons, no. This has become prevalent these days, and we know that because of the pandemic, the online learning, with a lot of factors actually. I have noticed in my capacity as a life coach, that many of our teens and young students are struggling to manage this particular feeling, this particular emotion. And when they're able to, when they struggle with that, this is manifested in different kinds of what we perceive as difficult behavior. No, so I hope that again, as adults, we're able to see that because they spend most of their time with us in school, whether it's face to face or online. No, so you know what, I have experience because I know this is a common concern of students who are not turning on their cameras, even if they know that it's a school rule, no, that they have to turn on their cameras. But you see, I've talked to some students who are not very comfortable turning on their cameras. I know that, you know, um, we have to teach them how to follow rules, no, or these school rules, but their concerns are valid. Sometimes they're so anxious to show their faces on camera because merong nauuso in Zoom or Zoom classes or online sessions na students would take their pictures, yung mga unflattering images, and then they will turn it into a meme. So they're so scared of that. They're so scared of course, pag teenager and young students, so they're very much concerned about their image, their bodies, right? So it's a real concern actually. They have a word for that. They are scared of being mimified. So you go ahead, talk to your students, and I think your students would also, be able to talk about that, that kind of fear, no, fear of someone taking their picture, unflattering pictures, and turn it into a meme. And some students who do not even talk in class when called to share their thoughts and feelings. Marami tayong na-experience ng ganyan. And some are really coming from the fact that I might be judged, I might say the wrong word, or I might not be able to answer it well. Even high performing students had this kind of fear because they were scared that their teachers would think that they're not intelligent enough to understand the lesson. I've experienced it. I've seen clients who felt that way. They're high performing students, but then during the online learning, they felt that parang nag-deteriorate yung yung performance nila just because of those fears. No. Mm, and when you ask these students, when you ask them about why they're not able to submit on time, they're not participating in class, they're not even turning on their cameras and all, they're able to figure out that it's really coming from anxiety, the feeling of anxiety. So, and we have to be able to understand that as the adults. And so, again, the authors of Discipline with Dignity, that's Richard Kerwin, Alan Mendler, and Brian Mendler, said that this can be the misbehaviors can actually be summed up in three C's. They said um, connection. They talked about connection, competence, and control. And let's see, no, what do they mean by these? No, so I'm so sorry. Okay, so number one, connection. Um, the authors of the book explain that disruptive students invariably have problems because of one or more of these needs are unfulfilled. Okay, they feel unconnected to the mainstream of what school has to offer, and they're unable to successfully achieve or incapable of feeling that anybody much cares about their opinion and their perspective. For someone mentioned that, no, poor connection, yeah, it's really a concern. It is affirmed by this book that if you don't have that connection, and if these students do not feel connected with the people around them, misbehavior will really show. Okay, and then a student with unfulfilled need for connection is more likely to seek attention from others. No, if she cannot get this through appropriate action, she is likely to say or do things that will get her noticed. So again, yes, their objective is to get noticed, but there's something beyond that, that desire to be noticed. What is it? What is it? No? Is this student asking for help or crying for help already? And unfortunately, that student is not able to show it in in an appropriate. We have to be able to read these behavior. No? Students most often make this need known by saying, okay, silly things, making noises, and bothering others. So if you see these kinds of behavior in class, minsan nakakagalit, di ba? Parang, naiinis ako kasi this kid is not listening. But if you're able to look beyond that, parang what is this kid, what does he need at this point? We have to be able to ask ourselves that, no? And then, let's go to the next slide. How about competence? Okay, when students, the book, Discipline with Dignity said, when the students have issues with competence, they tend to give up easily or act out when presented with material they find too challenging. Um, the refrains most prominent in the vocabulary of these students are, they always say, I'm stupid, or I don't care. I'm pretty sure some of you or most of you have experienced that, no? I don't care, bahala sila dyan. But the more students are saying that, the more they show that there is really a deeper problem in terms of maybe, understanding the lesson, or maybe they're not yet ready to really, you know uh, basically understanding the lesson. Is it too hard for them? Is it something that you can work on to adjust or reteach or tutor the kid or whatever, right? So when you hear those words, when you hear them saying I'm stupid or I don't care, bahala sila dyan, maybe they're really trying to say na I don't understand the lesson and I'm too scared to ask because I don't want to be judged na I don't understand, or na, I'm not intelligent enough to understand the lesson. Okay, and the authors of the book said, no, to complicate matters, it is not uncommon for them to reject work designed to promote success as too easy. Other students are afraid of success. So we have to be able to know why. Why do they have that feeling? Bakit ayaw nilang maging or maging successful in school? Okay? Many of these students, according to the book, prefer to fail, which keeps expectations low. See, sometimes they're also overwhelmed with the expectations of the people around them. No, I've seen students who have that self-imposed, parang high expectations on themselves. When you ask their parents, parang their parents would say, okay lang naman na hindi mag-honor and all, but some students, no, because there's really a great competition, parang they're so overwhelmed with the expectations, those high expectations. And again, as adults, we have to be able to see that. We have to be able to look beyond the behavior of parang sometimes, 'di ba, as adults, parang sabihin lang natin, you're too lazy to do your job. But honestly, that laziness is not just laziness. It's actually anxiety, right? And if you think that as a teacher you don't have, you're not able to, parang familiar with all these things, maybe you can talk to your guidance counselors or those who are more experienced teachers who have a lot of experience already with these kinds of um, students, no? So let's go to the next slide. About control. Okay, when problems occur from students with control issues, these usually take the form of power struggles. So that was mentioned a while ago. No? They feel a strong need to argue and take charge. Such students often act bossy and disrespectful. I know you've experienced some students who are like that in class, no? So deep down, they worry that they do not really matter. Okay. So they are constantly doing things in an effort to influence others. So we have to be able to see if it's an issue of, confidence, self-esteem. That's why this parang this particular kid is so parang aggressive or asserting him or herself too much. Is it an issue of self-esteem, issue of confidence, no? And we have to be able to help them figure out where they're coming from, no? And then let's go to the next slide. So um, if we have these understanding of the contributing factors to misbehaviors, our efforts and actions will be targeted and directed toward the behavior. Now we start looking beyond the one showing the behavior and start to focus on why that behavior is showing and what we can do about it. Because sometimes you are stuck with a student. Nakakainis tong student na to. This student is so annoying or disappointing. But when we go beyond that, we will realize that we have to maybe help this kid, equip this kid with skills so he or she will be able to manage his or her behavior, no? So again, there are contributing factors. We always have to realize that walang bata na nang iinis lang or walang bata na talagang um, out to, to just disappoint their teachers. But there are physical factors that we need to consider, social factors, emotional and psychological factors. And then when we have things in mind, we will be able to create our behavior modification. 'Di ba? Parang doon na natin masasabi na, oh, sige, what can we do? And um, this behavior modification plan should be based from the data that you'll be able to gather. What are those data? No? Data from the teachers, the subject teachers. You talk to them. Parang student class or how many work does the student need to still submit or ano yung sinasabi ng student na to in terms of her difficulty. So all those data, and of course the data, does this student have a condition that we have to know, mental health condition and neurological condition, all those things, no? And then you have to have your team, no, look at these things and review, so you'll be able to create create a behavior modification plan that is targeted. 'Di ba? That is targeted. Minsan kasi parang one size fits all. Pag misbehave ng ganito, this is the consequence or this is the punishment. But that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work, especially for those who have students who are diagnosed with ADHD. You cannot just tell that student with an ADHD to sit down properly, don't move, hands on your lap. Tapos ipapunish mo siya because your rule is you have to be able to sit properly on your chair. That's unfair for that kid who has ADHD, right? So that's what I mean when I said it has to be appropriate, and it should not be a punishment. No, it should not be a punishment. Later we'll talk about that, okay? And then of course, you have to be able to know how to reinforce behavior that you see from students, and we reinforce, of course, positive behavior. Okay, and then you have to be able to utilize your schedule, your routines, your visuals around the classroom for you to provide the students, especially those students with condition, some kind of predictability. When things are predictable in class, you will lessen the anxious thoughts of students. Okay, that's why routines are very important, right? That's what we do during the first few weeks of school. We establish routines with students first. And the reason behind that is that they need to be able to parang see predictability, and they have to be able to know ano na yung susunod, ano na yung mangyayari, because it settles them. Okay? Okay. I have to stop here first, no? Or but this I'll have the last slide first, because I think Tag Pros will be showing you something before I go to the strategies that can help, no? So before I end this first part of the session, I just want to remind you that your strategies that you will be creating this school year, should provide students with a greater sense of connection, competence, or control. So later, I will leave you that assignment. But before that, before I finish the entire session and go to the next part of the session, I'll give the floor to Tag Pros people first. Okay?
Thank you very much, Miss Christine. I just really want to say that we really appreciate the first part of your talk. Yes, it is true that as teachers, it may be challenging, but really looking beyond the surface level, the manifestations of their actions, really checking the whys as to why they do those things really will go a long way. Thank you very much, Miss Christine. So, hello everyone. At this point, I will really ask for Miss Tin's indulgence for me to take the virtual stage as I discuss with you something very exciting that Tag Pros is offering. Right? So, are you ready and are you excited? Please stay tuned and let's watch this video. Thank you very much. Hello, fellow educators. I'm Luis Pelea, a Tag Pros pioneer, English teacher, musician, and EdTech integrator. Today, I'm going to walk you through on how to sign up as a Tag Pros teacher and how to create a class. All right, get those devices ready and let's get to it. Tag Pros Education is an online K-12 education marketplace where passion takes the lead in learning. In our platform, teachers create meaningful and engaging classes and teach them online. Parents and learners can enroll in our platform to pursue their passion, satisfy their curiosity, and build skills that would help them not just in school, but in life. To sign up as a Tag Pros teacher, the first thing you have to do is go to tagpros.us. So that's what I'm typing here on my browser. Now take note that any browser is fine. You can use Chrome. I just personally prefer to use Safari. Then you're going to want to go to the upper right hand corner of your screen. Click on this green icon that says sign up. You want to key in some basic information. And here, let's just try it over here. So I'm going to put here some pretend names. Let's put Anakin, Skywalker. Let's pretend those are my credentials. And then you have to put your email that you'd like to connect to Tag Pros. So in this case, I made an email, tagpros.demo22@gmail.com. Then you have to key in your password. So it's very important I don't forget this password over here. And as we key it in, take note that you have to really choose the email that you'll be using for your Tag Pros account. All right, because it's going to be for a long-term usage already. Okay, so let's just key it in over there. Let's just check if all the details are correct. And since you're a teacher, we're going to select over here, join as a teacher. You'll know it's done successfully if it highlights green. Tick that box, I agree to all the terms, and click on register. Ooh, it says here that password must contain at least one uppercase letter. No problem. I'm just going to edit the first one there and capitalize that. So take note, the password needs to have an uppercase letter. Now it needs to have a special character. So let's add a special character at the end over here. There. Okay. And there we have it. We are now here at Tag Pros. You'll know it worked if you get the registration success over here. Congratulations. To verify your account, kindly click the link sent to this particular email. All right, so I'm going to go to that email right now, and I'm going to activate it, all right? So let's go over to the email. So as we were able to see on the Tag Pros official website, we need to verify our accounts. So our account rather. So here I went to my Gmail account for Tag Pros. It's over here. It's the only email. I'm going to click on that. It says here, good day. Thank you for successfully registering with us. Please verify your account by just clicking on this link. So very simple. I'm going to click this link. And now I'm going to be redirected to the verification process. There we go. That's simple. Account verified. And now I was automatically redirected to the official tagpros.us. And now all we have to do is sign in with the email that we registered. So for me, it's tag, there we go. So in my case, I'm just going to use my iCloud keychain. Just key in your information for that. All right, welcome to the Tag Pros Teachers Dashboard. So hi, this is Tag P, the Tarshir, and he's here to guide us. All right, let's go over to this next part. So if you'd like to learn more about Tag Pros, you can just watch this video over here. Then, of course, we are applying as a teacher. So we're going to type here, apply as a Tag Pros teacher. There we go. Now, the next thing that we're going to learn together is how to create a class. Hi, everyone. I'm just testing if my audio is back. Can you all hear me? All right, wonderful. So it's actually a very simple process of creating an account at tagpros.us and creating classes. We can show that video again later on. But at this time, I'd really like to welcome back Miss Christine for the second part of her lecture. I'm for sure we're all very excited to hear what she has prepared for us next. All right, Miss Christine, the virtual floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Hello, Luis. I'm back. And we stopped in the slide that says your strategy should provide students with a greater sense of connection and competence. No, but thank you, Luis. No, thank you for um, having those information for the teachers. Okay, sige. Let's go to the next slide. My slide does not want to move. There. Strategies to adapt. Okay, so these are just suggestions, but of course, you know your students well. You will know your students well this school year. And so I trust that that knowledge of your students regarding their needs and their backgrounds will really help you come up with strategies that will really work in class. But these are just strategies. Maybe you can tweak them a bit, adapt them, or whatever you want to do. Start from these strategies and then create your own. So number one is, okay, you notice that the word adapt is in color orange because I want to highlight all these letters. Our strategies will begin with those letters. Okay. Number one, okay, when you see misbehavior in class or those aggressive behavior or those um, behavior that seem to, be that seem difficult to manage, I want you to, um, I want you to start with yourself. You have to stay calm and collected because sometimes when we are not so mindful of our disposition, we easily react, no? React to the situation without realizing that our reaction is not so appropriate uh, for the situation. But when we give ourselves space to to respond appropriately, that's when we give ourselves time to really breathe in and check first and say what does this student need, or what do they need at this point, why are they showing these behavior. Okay, so stay calm and collected. The misbehavior that you see in class, I think, will help you if you don't think that it's because of you or it's about you. Okay, it's not always about you, the things that you do in class, but they are experiencing something that maybe we do not know. And as the adult in the situation, you have to be able to explore on these things. So stay calm and collected, take deep breaths. Okay, very important, before you can even say or um utter your first word, 'di ba? Take a deep breath first. Again, when you do this, you are giving yourself space to respond appropriately, not react, but respond. Okay? Be mindful of the tone of your voice. Okay? Very, that's very very important because sometimes your intentions are good, but sometimes sobrang you don't parang catch yourself in those moments that you're also tired or disappointed already, or you're not mindful of the tone of your voice, and that will have parang the students may parang can receive it differently, right? And of course, you have to model a quiet and respectful behavior. And you have to give yourself space too. That's what, okay, give the students space and yourself space too. Okay. Um, I just want to ask, no, have you sometimes caught yourself, using a loud and disrespectful tone of voice pag sobrang disappointed na kayo? diba? Um, and sometimes we do that without realizing, no? Um, this is from an Austrian psychiatrist, Rudolf Dreher Kurz. He said that human misbehavior is the result of not is the result of not having one's basic need of belonging to and contributing to a social group. So just that's what in support of what we said a while ago, the issue of connection, right? So Rudolf Drakers said that, no, the issue of belongingness, the issue of, feeling that they're able to contribute to a social group is very, very important. So he pointed that out decades ago, that when we speak to our students, hear more in our tone of voice than in our words, or the words that we use, right? We may have experienced this before when a class is noisy. Teachers may raise their voices in an attempt to gain control. No, I've experienced that when I was, when I was starting as a teacher. No, parang feeling mo the louder your voice, louder your voice is, mas makukuha mo yung attention nila. But it's the opposite. It's the opposite. So I suggest that you use your softer tone or even whispering to gain students' attention. So you notice the more veteran teachers, minsan, 'di ba, parang tingin na lang nila, magsa-stop na yung students. So that one, no, parang, and you learn those things in the process. You learn those things in the process. So as for those who are new here in this in the teaching profession, don't take it against yourself, no. There are so many things that you can learn from your co-teachers, those who are veterans, those who have been doing this work for a long time already. So you have to be open to those new things that you can learn from them. Okay? So siguro, I want you to practice to try listening to yourself and the other teachers. Okay, that's peer mentor, that's peer observation and all. Pay close attention to the tone of the voice you're using. So maybe you can practice in front of a mirror and just check, no? Check how you talk, check how you deliver your spiel. When your stress level goes up, students can hear it in your voice. They feel it. Okay? So sometimes talaga, no, the teacher can escape this part. Even if you don't talk about how you really feel, no, how you really feel, for example, this particular moment of your life or a particular session with students, they will feel you. Okay, so next we have the A. Next we go to D. De-escalate. Okay, what do we do when we de-escalate? So you can say to the student, for example, the student is already acting up, or being aggressive already. um, you can tell the student, let's talk about this later. You can say that, as in you can say that. And maybe you can invite the student for a walk. You can say, let's take a walk together para lang ano, para lang ma-calm down din si student, no? Give the child space too. So maybe you can ask the student, are you ready to talk about this, or you want to talk about this later? You give the student a choice, and that's okay, no? Even little kids can actually respond appropriately to these statements. So I've seen that. I've seen that as a life coach, no? Um, and I want you to try to create a positive timeout space for students. Okay, I've seen this. Some what do you call this? Some traditional school will have, quiet corner for the students, no? Or some students would okay, we have to be careful when we create that timeout space for students, because some students would view it as, a corner where they can be punished, no. That's not the message that we want to um that we want them, really that corner is for them to calm down, to really, reflect on their actions, and to really have that peace first before. Because if they're not settled, whatever you tell them, they will not know, they will not understand. So just make sure that when you create this positive timeout, this is a place, okay, this is a place designed by the student to serve their need to calm down. So you co-create it with the students. You don't just say, okay, that's our quiet space. Kasi minsan iba talaga, they see it differently, parang punishment corner with your students, and establish that place as a place for calming down or for peace time. Okay. And as you do that, actually you're teaching them to self-regulate. Okay, to self-regulate. So, and I just want to tell you na it's okay for you. It's okay for you to ask the students what it would help them to calm down. You don't just tell students everything that you want to see from them. Invite them to that's what you call co-regulation first. Before they can learn self-regulation, you have to co-regulate with them, meaning you really have to um, uh, teach them the skills. Sometimes yung unfair is we um, we expect the students to show these skills without us showing them, 'di ba? How to do it, how to go about it. So remember that before expecting a student to be able to self-regulate, you will have to be able to co-regulate with them. You have to be able to help them. Okay? Sige. Next, so when you de-escalate, very important to have a positive timeout. It would help to also you can ask them, would it help if you down space? So that space should be created with the students. And of course, very important that you give the students space too, as you need your own space also. Okay, you can tell them, okay, let's talk about this later. Let's calm down first before we can talk about this again. Okay. Next, acknowledge feelings. Okay, you can say it looks like you feel angry, or it looks like you feel disappointed, or it looks like you feel you need time off. Okay, so you can okay, those statements are actually statement that you can use to co-regulate with students first, kasi some students, especially the young ones, they're not able to really pinpoint what they feel, what they feel in a particular situation, kasi they don't have the language yet, they don't know how to describe their feelings yet. So all these statement can help them, as you co-regulate with them. So, or you can say you are angry and that's okay, right? You can tell them that. I mean, some students feel guilty for feeling these negative emotions. But emotions are neutral, no positive, no negative. But you can tell them you are angry and that's okay. But if the student is angry and hurting, you can say you are angry and that's okay, but aggressive behavior is unacceptable. So you can say that. You can be very clear with that, okay? So always remember that when students are discouraged, and okay, misbehaving students are discouraged students, they do not need punishment in any form. They need encouragement. One of the best ways to help students feel encouraged is to listen until you understand their point of view and then validate their feelings. I remember this student when I was still in nursery. No, this is funny, but okay, this is funny, but it really happened. No, what's this? The kid said, the kid hurt his classmate, and then the teacher saw the kid hit the head of his classmate, and then the teacher said, "What are you doing? What did you do?" So napagalitan niya yung kid, and then the kid was crying without, so that automatically the teacher got mad and parang comforted the one crying kasi siya yung nasaktan yung ulo. But the one who hit the head was also crying and said, kasi nangongopya siya sa akin, pinaghirapan ko yung sagot ko. Siya nangongopya lang sa akin. So that was the reason why he hit the head of his classmate. That wasn't acceptable. That wasn't acceptable. But you can tell na parang you can say, okay, I can understand you were so frustrated because your classmate was copying your answer, but hurting is not acceptable. So you can see that, no? So you can see that. So automatically that was a misbehavior, pero if you don't understand the reason why the kid hit the head of the classmate, you will really judge that kid and say, ay, very, but that's not always the case, right? Okay, sige. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, wait. Uh, wait. I need to check my chat box. Okay. Can you hear me? Do I have an audio? Okay. Okay, sige. Let's continue. Okay? Let's continue. Next. There. Next is problem solve. Okay? So how do we do that? How do we problem solve with the students? Okay, let's see. Okay, so it's important to be able to problem solve with the students. Start with co-regulation. So that's what I was telling you a while ago. Now, before you expect them to be able to self-regulate, you have to co-regulate with them and really be explicit with the words that you say for them to also learn those words. No? You have to model the behavior. And so there is this four steps to problem solving. Love this strategy. No, I've read this planned ignoring. So sometimes the teacher would say, just ignore. For example, there's a classmate is complaining about another student. No, automatically the teachers would just ignore it, but the students need to understand what that means when you say ignore it. So there is this strategy called planned ignoring, and when you say planned ignoring, okay, you don't just say ignore it. So important to be able to um, know what behavior should be ignored. Okay, only ignore behaviors that students do for attention. So if you know that this student is really seeking for attention in a in a in a not so good way, that's when you discuss with your student this kind of behavior. You can ignore it. Okay. If a student is performing a behavior to escape an assignment, ignoring the behavior will not be helpful. Okay. So, example, attention seeking behavior includes interruption, making noises, and talking to other students. Okay. I've seen that in little kids. They actually know how to regulate themselves, na even if their classmates bothering them, talagang nakafocus lang sila kay teacher. So that's our goal, no? Our students will be able to do that on their own. Okay, planned ignoring is never an appropriate strategy. So this is a disclaimer, ha, for a behavior that is harmful. So if you see someone hurting someone already, hindi pwedeng planned ignoring yung strategy niyo. So only those attention-seeking behavior that includes making noise or talking to others. Okay? Next, When you say planned ignoring, you can also provide positive attention by using behavior specific praises. Okay, so when you witness a good behavior, then you know praise that behavior and para ma-reinforce them. So that's what we are saying, enforcing good behavior. So maybe you saw someone who is parang who needs reminder to always raise his hand before talking or before reciting. Pag nakita nyo na nag-raise ng hand, of course you will say, thank you for raising your hand. No? Thank you for doing that this time. So that's one way of reinforcing that behavior. And then okay, this is the last reminder for planned ignoring. Do not give attention to the behavior. The behavior you ignore will get worse before it goes away. So this is a behavior that the behavior used to work to get attention. So students will try it again and again until they realize it is no longer effective. So make them feel that. Now, if they keep on repeating that behavior, in planned ignoring strategy, it won't work. And they will notice that, okay, I don't get attention when I do this. So you are redirecting the behavior also. Okay. And then, oops, talk it over respectfully. Okay, you can ask the students, what do you need, what might help at this point? Okay, but do not ever say words that will all the more make the situation worse by saying na, oh, you're acting up again, or you can't parang you're misbehaving, parang na-label na natin yung behavior ng kid, no? But really, you ask yourself, what do you need, what might help at this point? Time out, our positive time out space to calm down. And then when you problem solve, you have to agree together on a solution. Later we'll talk about that. No? That's why classroom rules do not, parang some schools are not actually pushing for that anymore, no, creating classroom rules, but social contracts. So we'll talk about that later. So ask for help if you can't work it out together. So maybe you can say, do you want to talk to the guidance counselor, or you want to talk to your other teachers about this, or you want to talk to your your classmate about this first before we. So you have to make the student feel that that's not a dead end when they feel that, when they feel frustrated, or when they feel that they disappointed people, no, but you can really offer the kid to talk about it with someone, baka yun yung kailangan niya, right? Kailangan niya rin ng space from us. Okay, next, think reflectively. Okay, when we say that, okay, when we think when we ask the students to think reflectively, or to you when we want to use this strategy, you can say what happened. Okay, how do you feel about it? How do you think others feel about that, about your action? What ideas do you have to solve this problem? Okay, what would you do differently? How can you show accountability? How do you own up to your mistakes? Okay, so instead of saying, okay, this is your punishment because this is what you did, sometimes it really parang won't help, kasi parang automatic na the behavior, or the action was not processed, diba? And that's very important for the students to understand, for them to realize that, hey, this behavior really won't work, or this behavior is not really acceptable, right? So we help them become self-reflective by um, asking these questions. Sorry that the whole vendor is passing by. Okay, so next. So, and adapt strategies can also, include can also give you these benefits, no, to ensure that mutual accountability, trust and support and commitment is there. Okay. So it has to be two-way. That's why I was telling a while ago, no, instead of this one, the second bullet, establish a clear classroom essential agreements, rethink classroom rules, because I've realized that, no, um, when you present classroom rules to the students, parang one way siya. It's all coming from the teachers. And parang these are all my expectations as a teachers. But when you create classroom agreements or social contract, you are involving them, no? You are involving them to create what are expected in the classroom, and that there is accountability because they will be the ones to think of the consequences also. Try that. I think it's empowering. I think the students will feel, involved, empowered, and they will really, just the other day I was chatting with my husband, and parang he shared with me because I shared this strategy with him, and he said, because they were just starting, no, I think that was a grade one. He asked the grade one students, so what do you think can we do as a form of consequence when we are not able to when we are not able sorry for the toho tender when we are not able to do or to follow all these agreements that we've created. And then one kid said, I think one consequence should be that student should go to the principal's office and talk to the principal. Diba? And then my husband was quick to say, okay, sige, there's nothing wrong with that, but can we think of something that we can do as a class for us to correct that behavior? So, parang we are parang hindi tayo parang sinusumbong kita that behavior is worth going to the principal's office, but really making the students feel that, hey, we can do something about this as a class, and let's talk about it, let's get involved and be responsible for our own behavior and the behavior of the entire class, no? So something like that. So think about that, introducing classroom rules versus to coming up with class agreements that they can actually sign their names with, para i-show talaga na, okay, these are us, no? And then what else? So there, adapt strategies can maximize structure and predictability. So again, when things are predictable in class, because your routines are established, that's going to help lessen anxious thoughts from the students. Okay, and then of course you have to be able to um, review all these things. No, hindi siya set in stone. You have to be able to parang review it with the students and say, do we need to reevaluate or do we need to change something with our class agreements? Because new behavior, parang new manifestations are coming. I mean, showing. And maybe hindi na nagfi-fit yung gantong strategy. Maybe we can talk about uh, a new parang a new consequence for this. Okay? Next. Okay. Again, talking about connection, one of the simplest and most effective student engagement strategies is getting to know your students on a personal level. Once you recognize how teacher student relationships can revolutionize your classroom, you can prepare your entire school for lasting success. And that's according to Jane Nelson and Kelly, the author of um, what was the book again? Positive. I'll show you later. I'll show you in my reference. Sorry about that. I didn't get the title of the. Yeah, Positive Discipline Foundation, classroom management for social, emotional, and academic success. Okay, so that's what they said, no? When we talk about strategies, when we talk about things that we can do to manage misbehavior, it's important that you have your support group also. Okay, especially for those new teachers. Okay, especially those who feel or those who question themselves, no, especially when they experience misbehavior in class, napapaisip ka na, am I the right teacher for them? Am I doing the right thing and all? Very common yan to new teachers. So ask for support, ask for help, practice peer consultation, peer observation, especially no the veteran teachers. I'm sure they will be able to share with you different strategies that work in their classroom, but not necessarily na they'll dictate to you, no, what they have been doing in class. You have to be able to create your own because iba-iba naman yung set of students natin, di ba? And of course, you have to, again, for the new teachers, those who are, having a hard time in this aspect, you have to be able to show vulnerability. Meaning, don't be scared na the teachers will judge you and say, ano ba yan? You're the teacher and you don't know what to do. Sometimes in yung fear, right? Show vulnerability and say, I'm really having a hard time managing this kind of behavior. So how did you do that in class? Or how did you do that? How did you handle that? Okay lang yan. That's the start of you learning new things. And of course, stories. There's so much power in sharing your story. For example, nakaupo lang kayo isa isang lounge, teacher's lounge, and then sharing na, oh, today I really had this disappointing moment, blah 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 blah. Share those stories, tapos doon na parang informally you'll be able to hear strategies from your teachers by them sharing also na, no, nung when I've experienced that, this is what I did, blah 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 blah. It doesn't always have to be in a formal setup, right? Okay. Sige, next is, of course, this one. As a life coach, I would remind you of this. Okay, self-care. And research says that teachers who have self-care plans are less likely to get sick or experience work burnout and more likely to remain patient with their students. Okay? So, when you feel na you're easily irritated or easily annoyed, check within. What are you experiencing at the moment that makes you react that way? No, you have to be mindful of that. Baka you're also going through something, or a lot of things are on your plate at this point. So check that before we face our students, and just being mindful of what we carry also in the classroom can help you say na, okay, kanina nainis ako kasi yung coworker ko said this. I should not bring that kind of disposition in my class because, of course, they deserve the best from you, right? So self-care, okay? And next is, I just want to share with you this quote from the book School That Learns from Peter Senji. Okay, he said that this child has dignity, but built right in. It's there already. We don't have to put it there. Our job is to acknowledge it and work with it. So always remember, when you try to discipline or try to manage misbehavior in class, that uh, each student has their dignity already. It's there. You just have to acknowledge it and work with it. Okay? That's why yung gustong-gusto ko yung nakita ko kanina na these kids are blessing from God. Maybe it would help if we have that mindset. No? Kahit nakakainis na. Parang nakakaanoy talaga yung behavior na yon. But, it's not an accident that parang these students will be under you. There must be a reason. There must be a reason why they are in your class. No? They are in your class. And do not parang ever parang let go of the chance to influence that kid, parang inspire that kid through your presence as a teacher. Okay? Sige. Let's go. Oh, there. This is the homework. This is your homework. I want you, because as a life coach, I really want you to be concrete about the things that you shared a while ago. No? I just want you to have this, note it, okay? Ask yourself, what am I willing to commit to reinforce disciplining with dignity in my class this school year? Sorry for that typo. This school year, okay? So in terms of connection, what do you want to do? What do you want to start this school year to, enhance connection in class? It can be as simple as maybe during break time, I'll talk to two to three of my students to get to know them better. Before they can even enter the classroom, I'll ask them how they are, how they are, basically just asking them, and then incompetence, uh maybe a sample for this is really, for example, in a week, parang I will talk to three of my students who seem to have, or who seem to be having difficulty about the lesson, and I'll sit with them and really, teach them, tutor them, and talk to them about, and ask them what's difficult about the lesson. And control, okay? Talk to the students whom you see struggle with this, no, you may power struggle, and really get to know why that kid is misbehaving, or showing that kind of behavior, and just write them down, and always parang go to your list and see if you're also able to check all these things that you have written down, no, for us to ensure that you are doing something to actually um, get to know your students, because sabi ko nga, 'di ba, it's really the relationship, the quality of the relationship you have with your student is the best way to manage them, 'di ba? Preventive na, hindi lang siya parang pag nakita niyo na yung behavior, that's the only time you'll deal with it, right? Okay, and these are my references. I encourage you to read these books. These are nice references. So, Richard Kerwin, Discipline with Dignity, Peter Singe, School That Learns, and then um, Positive Discipline Tools for Teachers, Effective Classroom Management for Social, Emotional, and Academic Success. Okay, so there. That ends my talk. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have questions, thank you very much. How do I stop sharing? Sorry. Luis, how do I stop sharing?
Oh,
I'll just,
exit the PowerPoint presentation, Miss Christine. You may click an X.
okay, there. It's not there anymore. Thank you.
You're welcome, po, Miss
Okay.
Christine. Miss Christine, thank you very much for sharing with us your expertise. Let's give her a virtual round of applause, please, everybody. Now, Miss Christine, I really love what you were sharing earlier about really redefining timeout timeouts for students, for kids. We make them into something positive, to something more purposeful, and to something that would really benefit our kids or our students. I also really like the segment on self-care. Most teachers might even feel guilty about indulging themselves in self-care, but you are right, ma'am, and I'm sure a lot of us really learned a lot from that if we don't fuel ourselves, it will show in our tanks in what we give out to the students. Thank you very much. Now, let us move on to our open forum, everyone. I'm sure a lot of you have questions for our speaker. So let's, of course, Ms. Tin is still here with us, and I will be going through the questions that you sent us during the session. And of course, hello from all over the Philippines. I encourage you to please key in your questions on the Tag Pros on the Facebook site or on the streaming site, please key in your questions. We would love to hear from you. All right. For our very first question, we have one from, there we go. How can we engage students in distance education when all they have are keypad phones? There we go, Miss Christine.
Really difficult, no? You are parang you're competing with the technology. But may I know, parang what have you tried so far? Who asked that question?
This
Sorry,
is Miss
hindi,
Jocelyn Balagusa asked this question, Miss Christine.
can we hear them? Can they talk or no? Sorry, ah. But I wonder what strategy she tried to use to deal with that, because I think that's ayun na yung ano natin eh, that's the direction, no? We will always have the technology with us when we teach, but maybe if you try to talk to the student, maybe yung student is really not sorry. Can you hear that? That the hall vendor? Okay. Who wants? Joke lang. Hindi, but but
I want one.
okay, sige. Tomorrow. Joke lang. Hindi, but we have to know what that kid is going through. Maybe that kid is actually dealing with gadget addiction or something else is happening. I wonder if the teacher was able to explore on those things, because we cannot just say na how can we engage them? Kasi yun lang naman ang harap nila. Kasi yun na yun. That's our direction already. We will always use technology with learning and teaching. But is it really the problem, or there's something else that we need to address? So uh, I hope that I was able to I know I was not able to really answer it with a specific answer, but there is no specific answer to that because we don't know the underlying problems, right? So I think we have to explore first why is the student ano ba meron yun na nga issue of gadget addiction, or does he need to learn does he need to learn skills to manage that on his own? We have to know first. Okay, we have to know first.
Thank you very much, Miss Christine. Yes, Ma'am Balagusa, I do understand where you're coming from. For the past 2 years, we've had to think of creative and innovative ways to deliver our lessons and assign tasks to students. And it's not always the ideal setup where students always have an iPad or a tablet or a laptop. Sometimes all they can do is really borrow devices or gadgets from their parents or siblings, and that it really is a struggle for many educators. Probably one thing that we could do is make offline versions of the materials available to these students, perhaps provide them with PDF or document copies of the activities. So if they are unable to access or utilize applications to run the activities, they always have a transcript or a document version. I hope that helps. Thank you, Miss Christine, and thank you, Miss Balagusa. Yeah, we have another question in the chat from Miss May Daisa Versosa. I really hope that I didn't butcher that name. Do you recommend the lambing biro and the haplos strategy when dealing with students' good behavior or even misbehavior?
Okay. Okay. Wait. So we have to we have to be careful with this haplos strategy. Actually, there is a strategy, no? The hugging strategy. Ano siya eh? Diniscuss din siya dun sa isang reference na book na I've mentioned. But with older students, we have to be careful because we have to parang what's that? Parang send the message that we respect their boundaries, and we as teachers, have to create that boundary also. So siguro yung simple tapping of the shoulder and said, so alam natin yun, 'di ba? Alam natin yung uncomfortable touches and not comfortable touches. So you have to be able to know that hindi that just because you've gotten used to that kind of strategy, baka some students are not okay with that, or some families are not okay with that. So you just have to you just have to be very careful. But tapping the shoulder, I think okay yan. But with what's it, older students, yung hugging and baka hindi. Baka hindi. We have to just be very careful about that.
Yes, Miss Christine, I couldn't agree more. I'm sure a lot of us are very inclined or tempted, especially with the very younger students, to give them hugs, to really, press those really cute cheeks. Yeah, but I think a lot of schools are also
But that book, the
having.
book that I read, sorry, Luis, but the book that I
Yes,
read
ma'am.
was saying na okay lang to do that with younger children because they need that eh. Parang they need to learn affection and all. But with older students, we might think of something else.
Yes, Miss Christine, that is very correct. Thank you po. Yes, as teachers, we have to be very mindful and where to draw the lines, especially with how we could be misinterpreted by the parents or the learning managers. But of course, we all know we're all coming from the right place. We want to make our students learn. We want to meet them at their own level, and we want to make them feel secure. It's just very important, just what as like what Miss Christine said, to be very careful, to draw the lines and know our boundaries. Thank you very much, Miss Versosa. All right, we have another question in the chat from Angelita Resurrección Teodoro. If the student is consistently not submitting requirements, the mere fact that you talk to the parents and are aware of it, and you already give the chance to submit the requirements, and yet nothing happened, what advice can you give on this situation? Oh, yes. I think this is a very good question. This has happened a lot, especially in many big schools as well.
Yes, and I've experienced this a lot as a life coach. So that's why I was telling parang know your data. No, kasi most of the students who are not, able to do this, parang they have really concerns. For example, ako, I've experienced a lot of students with mental health concerns the past 2 years. And we really sit down with the doctors and the psychologists and see what these experts will tell us to do, because syempre as a teacher, 'di ba, parang you also need to, parang these are part of your requirements also as a teacher, na to be able to um parang have all those submitted by your students. But see, for example, if the student is really dealing with depression and anxiety, it will really be very possible for the students, kahit you talk to the parents already or kahit you talk to the students already. It's just that the condition makes it impossible for them to comply with the requirements. And you have to be able to really parang make policies, no, in terms of that. Kasi um, they exist. Students who can really comply because they have certain conditions. For example, yung condition is, okay, if you have depression, because the students cannot just say, I have depression, that's why I cannot submit. No, they have to be able to show an assessment. They have to be able to show that they regularly visit the psychologist and all. Because we can do something about depression. We can have medication for depression. There are therapy for depression. So we have to be able to set all these things first before we say na hindi ka talaga nag-submit, so wala kang grade. So you have to be able to sit down with the psychologist and say, maybe this will be the minimum requirement for this kid. Kasi ang goal natin is to parang um, to allow these students to be successful despite the condition, despite the difficulties, right? So, but I do understand it's frustrating. I've experienced a lot of that, no, complaints from the teachers na how can we grade them? Where do we get the grade? Blah, blah, blah. But really, sa school namin, what we do is to really give this student an academic coach, a life coach, and together with the psychologists, the doctors, and talagang put our efforts together to really help the kid. And if it's parang if everything has been done already and still it's not helping the kid, maybe time to talk about maybe the kid needs to rest first or take a gap year, or 'di ba? So ang daming options that we can explore, but you have to have those data. May condition ba? Is the kid diagnosed with something, or working with a doctor, working with an expert? So all those things you have to know first.
Thank you, Miss Christine. Yes, I think it's very clear that there are special scenarios and cases where intervention will really play a big part. Yes, I've had a lot of experiences and circumstances like this in our school as well. And we can really only do so much as teachers and really hope for the parents and the student to partner with us. And at the same time, understand where they are really coming from in this very extraordinary times that we have now. Thank you very much, Miss Teodoro. Now we have another one from Miss Marivic Esteban. How do I engage a struggling reader during read aloud time? That's interesting.
As an English teacher, Luis, maybe you can answer that.
Of
Good.
course, ma'am. Yes. All right. Hi,
So
Miss
what do you
Esteban. Yes,
do?
that's a very good question. What we do is we have prompts or sentence starters for my language classes. I provide them with a backbone or a guide. They can use particular sentence starters to help them build confidence when they answer or when they read aloud. Also, I also try to encourage conversation. So apart from teaching them how to orally present what they want to say, I also ask them follow-up questions, really get them to think on the spot and really make them more comfortable in expressing themselves. Aside from that, we also provide them with different cues that a speaker should, or a student reading something out should always speak in a way that he or she is modulating his voice, that even the person at the back row, even the people on Zoom can hear the person read. And yes, Miss Esteban, this is a really valid concern. A lot of us got used to speaking through microphones or through earphones, and that I noticed that in my classes that my students speak very softly because they're not used to speaking in big environments anymore. So there, Mrs. Esteban, we could provide them with sentence starters and basic prompts to really push them to be able to say what they want to say in the proper way. Thank you very much. We have a lot of questions here. I could probably go through a couple more. From Jimmy Libo on Sitao. I hope I pronounced that right. Is psychosocial support program necessary and enough for learners who will be transitioning from distance education, that's modular, to face-to-face classes?
I'm pretty sure it will help, but with other considerations. No? But this one is a good program to put in to really, because the students will definitely have difficulty adjusting again, because this is a new situation for them again, especially those who were not able to parang go to big schools kasi ano pa lang sila, nursery, kinder, tapos first time silang magbe-big school again. So we need to be able to give them that support. Okay? There are a lot of students who feel anxious going to schools physically, face to face, and we have to be able to let them talk about how they feel about it, and process it with them, and again help them self-regulate by doing co-regulation with them first. Okay, SEL. I know that you know what SEL means, so maybe you can check out some of the activities that you can create, using SEL to help these students who will be transitioning from online to face-to-face classes. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Christine. Yes, I believe the students really use all the moral, emotional, and psychosocial support that they can get. A lot of us, even many teachers, are still in the transition phase of being able to go back to face classes. Okay, we have
That's
three
true.
questions left. I think we could go through them very quickly. From Shelov Franco Goloran, ano po bang tamang gawin para mas ganahan ang mga anak ko sa pagsagot ng module? Honor student po siya since elementary, pero yung nag-modules na po, nagbago na ang lahat. Alam kong kaya niyang sumagot sa modules, pero talagang wala talaga siyang gana.
Mhm. Yan yung sinasabi ko kanina, no, na I've experienced students who are high performing during the face-to-face, but during online learning, parang nagbago yung lahat. And I had to explore on the reasons why, no. But apparently, this kid was feeling anxious because online learning is not her, parang not her turf, 'di ba? Not um parang hindi yan yung medium na masanay siya, 'di ba? So we have to understand that. We have to know, kasi kung i-judge lang natin yung anak natin na parang nagbago ka na, ngayon ang tamad mo na, dati okay ka naman, ang sipag-sipag mo. But there are really factors that affect, no? Yung yung unang-una dyan is yung idea that learning is a social activity. Nawala yon sa kanila during online learning, during yung module activity. Kasi it's fun to learn with other people, right? So yun yung nawala sa mga kabataan when we had the online learning. And as an adult, we have to know that for us to be able to explain that maybe you're coming from this. Kasi pag naintindihan nila na maybe I'm anxious because of this, I don't have my classmates, I'm scared kung anong sasabihin ng teacher ko pag nag-turn in ako ng work na medyo may maling sagot. Kasi before I've talked to a student, no, parang sabi niya, nagma-matter yung facial reaction ng teacher. So for example, it's an immediate feedback kasi. So when you're able to submit, tapos nakita mo si teacher na very happy with what you have submitted, parang pero online, you don't see all those things, di ba? And our students need those immediate feedback. Nawala din yun. So instead of just parang seeing it as tinamad na siya or hindi talaga okay yung online learning or nagbago na siya and all, let's explore. Let's try to explore some more with your kid, no? What's making him or her feel that way na parang wala na siyang gana sa online and all. Most of the time, some older students, it's really the social interaction and really the anxiety na, am I turning in work that's quality or that's enough for my teachers to say na I'm doing a great job, diba? There.
Thank you very much, Miss Christine. All right, we have time for this one last question. I see another one here, but luckily it was already answered by Miss Christine earlier. So for the last one, I just want to ask for suggested advice about child na may kahirapan sa pagsasalita at pagsusulat. I can also take this one so that Miss Christine can rest for a bit. So for this last item over here, I think it's very important that we expose our students to a lot of writing drills and practice. In our school, we have short writing activities where almost every session we give them a topic, and it's up to them to be able to generate ideas and come up with their own original reasons and pieces of evidence. One other strategy that we do to encourage students to write and to speak is we provide them with springboards. Perhaps they could refer to very short video clips where they can anchor their ideas and their thoughts. Another technique, we can provide them with reliable sources, very short articles that are also timely, where students can react and share their opinions. In that way, our kids or our students will really learn to have their own voice. Because I think in writing and in speaking, more than knowing the grammar and the conventions, which is also very important, is that we teach them to have their own voice, to be able to speak and express themselves freely and respectfully as well. So thank you, Miss Vergara and Miss Blanca.
Siguro,
Thank you very much,
Luis,
Miss Christine. Yes, ma'am.
Luis,
Yes.
I just want to add, maybe we can also check if the kid has actually was that learning disabilities, and that can only
Oh,
be
yes.
yeah, kung ipapa-check, ipapa-assess, kasi we have to for example grade 4 na tapos hindi pa nagsasalita at hindi pa nagsusulat, may obvious problem dyan, but we have to be able to know where that problem is coming from. So meron bang learning difficulty, meron bang condition, meron bang those things that we need to know. So again, we have to come up with strategies based on the data that we have. So if this kid is having a hard time, so talk about that with your team and say ano yung pwede nating i-advise sa parents. Maybe you can ask the parents to have the kid assessed to know ano yung exactong difficulty of that, para you'll be able, kasi even if Luis mentioned all those strategies and the kid is not ready kasi meron siyang certain disability, those strategies will not work, parang, or work only in a certain 'di ba? So we have to be able to root that. Meron bang condition, meron bang difficulty and all. And we can only know that through assessment if the kid is diagnosed.
Thank you very much, Miss Christine. Thank you for that. Yes, early intervention is very, very important. All right. Thank you, Miss Christine, for answering all of those questions. I'm sure we all learned a lot from her today. And that ends our open forum. So if you do have any further questions, you may forward them to us at Tag Pros Education Facebook, and we will try our very best to give you the answers you seek from our guest speaker today. Now, at this point, please tell us your thoughts about today's webinar workshop in the evaluation form. The link is presented on the screen, and it is also in the comment section. There we go, it's flashed on the screen. Answering the evaluation form is necessary for claiming e-certificates. Reminder, if you only have 1 week to answer the evaluation form to get an e-certificate. We will be sending out e-certificates after 2 weeks. Thank you so much for your understanding. Again, thank you very much to Miss Christine for imparting her wisdom on all of us today. Okay, and that does end today's webinar workshop. But we really do hope to see you again on the 30th of July for another exciting and informative workshop. As always, keep updated with Tag Pros Education by following our official social media pages. And please invite your family and friends as well. Again, I am Luis Palea, and thank you very much for joining us today. We hope to see you very soon.